Hare Krishna, my friends. Welcome to our Friday night reading here in Bhaktiville. With us tonight is Bhaktiville, recording and streaming on Facebook. We've got Kandita is here and Bhakti Greece is here. And welcome to you listening to us live on Facebook. I wanted to let you know that Vasant Pancami, the Vaishnava celebration of spring, is coming up this next Tuesday. And we're in full gear here decorating in Bhaktiville, so keep an eye out for new things around the temple and grounds. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, "Of seasons I am flower-bearing spring." This is yet another opportunity to remember our beloveds, Shri Radha and Krishna. And next Wednesday, our friend Bhakti Greece, who is also a DJ, is going to DJ a party for us on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Second Life time. So I hope you can come. You can dance here in Second Life. You can dance there at home. You can do both. You can do either or both. But next Wednesday, 6 p.m., Vasant Pancami party. Woohoo! Yes, that'll be here in the temple, Kandita asks. Yes, and we'll use our dance ball, and we'll have lots of things. I'll put up prasadam tables so that people can nosh on things, and yeah, maybe balloons. Oh, balloons on the floor, always fun. All right, so we'll have a whole party. I'm not going to tell you everything because then you'll know. It'll be a surprise. Everything will be a surprise. So next Wednesday, 6 p.m. Second Lifetime with Bhakti Greece as our DJ. Tonight, we're continuing our reading from Srila Prabhupada's book, The Teachings of Queen Kunti, which is a collection of lectures on a section of Srimad Bhagavatam. Tonight, we're on chapter 18, titled Liberation from Ignorance and Suffering. You'll find that on page 154 of the PDF or page 129 of the book. Before we get started, let me offer my obeisances to Srila Prabhupada and Vaishnavas. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripasindubhye Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. I also offer my respectful obeisances unto the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, here, everywhere, past, present, future. They are just like desire trees and can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen, conditioned souls. All right, the verse. We'll do word for word first. You can look there up at the screen. We'll do word for word first. Bhave, in the material creation. Asmin, this. Klishyamananam, of those who are suffering from. Avidya, nescience. Kama, desire. Karma, bihi, by execution of fruit of work. Ravana, hearing. Smarana, remembering. Arhani, worshipping. Karishan, may perform. Iti, thus. Kechana, others. Bhavesmin klishyamananam vidya kama karmabhihi Shravana smaranar hani parishan iti kechana. And in English, and yet others say, now this is Queen Kunti speaking to Krishna, and yet others say that you appeared for the sake of rejuvenating the devotional service of hearing, remembering, worshiping, and so on, in order that the conditioned souls suffering from material pangs might take advantage and gain liberation. That's from Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, 8th chapter, verse 35. We'll go on to Srila Prabhupada's lecture. In the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the Lord asserts that He appears in every millennium just to reestablish the way of religion. So Bhaktiville has a comment. Were they chanting Hare Krishna mantra then? Yes. Indeed. The way of religion is made by the Supreme Lord. No one can manufacture a new path of religion, as is the fashion for certain ambitious persons. The factual way of religion is to accept the Lord as the supreme authority, and thus render service unto him in spontaneous love. A living being cannot help but render service because he is constitutionally made for that purpose. The only function of the living being is to render service to the Lord. The Lord is great, and living beings are subordinate to him. Therefore, the duty of the living being is just to serve him only. Unfortunately, the illusioned living beings, out of misunderstanding only, become servants of the senses by material desire. This desire is called avidya, or nescience. And out of such desire, the living being makes different plans for material enjoyment, centered about a perverted sex life. He therefore becomes entangled in the chain of birth and death by transmitting or transmigrating into different bodies on different planets under the direction of the Supreme Lord. Unless, therefore, one is beyond the boundary of this nescience, one cannot get free from the threefold miseries of material life. That is the law of nature. The Lord, however, out of his causeless mercy, because he is more merciful to the suffering living beings than they can expect, appears before them and renovates the principles of devotional service, comprised of hearing, chanting, remembering, serving, worshiping, praying, cooperating, and surrendering unto him. Adoption of all of the above mentioned items, or any one of them, can help a conditioned soul get out of the tangle of nescience, and thus become liberated from all material sufferings created by the living being, illusioned by the external energy. This particular type of mercy is bestowed upon the living being by the Lord in the form of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this very important verse, the word bhavesmin means in this material world. The word bhava also means grow, and it refers to that which has taken birth. In the material world, there are 6 kinds of changes. First, there is birth and growth, and then that which has been born and has grown stays for some time, produces some byproducts, and then dwindles and finally vanishes. These 6 changes are called sadvikara. The body, for example, takes birth at a certain date, and then it grows and stays for some time. From the body come so many byproducts in the form of sons and daughters, and then the body becomes old and weak, and finally, when it is very old, it dies. But when the body is finished, I'm not finished. When the gross body comes to an end, I am still present within the subtle body of mind, intelligence, and false ego, and this subtle body carries me to another gross body. Although everyone has to accept a subtle body, the scientists and medical men cannot see it. I have a mind, and you have a mind, but I cannot see your mind, and you cannot see mine. I have intelligence, and you have intelligence, but you cannot see my intelligence, nor can I see yours, because they are very subtle. Similarly, the spirit soul is still more subtle. So what will the materialistic scientists see of it? They cannot see the mind, intelligence, or false ego, what to speak of the soul. Therefore, they say, the body is everything and there is nothing more. Actually, however, that is not a fact. The fact is that the spirit soul is very, very small. Balagra shatta bhagasya shattada kalpitasya cha, from the Shvetashvatara Upanishad 5:9. The soul is 1/10,000th the size of the tip of a hair. That's the translation of that. Suppose we were to take a hair and divide it into 100 parts. Could we do it? No, that is not possible. But if we could do it, and then divide it again into another 100 parts, each part would be the size of the spirit soul. Of course, not all long like the hair, just the tip he's talking about. Of course, this is not possible to understand by experimental knowledge. So how can it be learned? One must learn of this from an authority. Our knowledge is so imperfect that we cannot deal with such subtle affairs, and because rascals cannot deal with such things, they think that matter is the cause of life. Nonetheless, they have not been able to demonstrate that life comes from matter. Let them take chemicals in their laboratory and produce even a small insect with hands, legs, and eyes. Every night we see so many of such small insects with legs and eyes with which they approach the light. From such small insects up to Brahma, there are 8,400,000 different forms of life, among which we are traveling from body to body, leaving one body and entering another, as stated by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Tata dehantara praptihi. That's from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 13. And the whole verse is, as the embodied soul continually passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. The self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. Therefore, either we must reject Krishna's word or reject all the so-called scientific theories that life comes from matter. But we are pledged to Krishna consciousness, and therefore we cannot reject Krishna's word. We accept Krishna when he says that we have to travel from one body to another. Every living entity within this material world is under the influence of avidya, ignorance. So vidya is knowledge, and with it's like happy or unhappy. Vidya, avidya, ignorance. Avidya karma samjanya, vidya shaktir ishyate. God, Krishna, has many millions of potencies. Parasya shaktir vividaiva shruyate. So this is from the Shvetashvatara Upanishad that says, of the Supreme there are various potencies. So here's Prabhupada is talking about these potencies, and they have been summarized into 3 categories: the external potency, the internal potency, and the marginal potency. The marginal potency and the internal potency are of the same spiritual quality, but the third potency, the external potency, is inferior. And here's the whole verse. Vishnu Shaktir Para Prokta Kshetranyakya Tata Para Avidya Karma Samjanya Tritiya Shaktir Ishyate. Vishnu Purana 6.7.61. Originally, and the translation is, originally Krishna's energy is spiritual, and the energy known as a living entity is also spiritual. However, there is another energy known as illusion, which consists of fruitive activity. That is the Lord's third potency. Back to the text. So in this material world, everyone is in ignorance of vidya. Even Brahma was ignorant until he was given knowledge by Krishna. Therefore, no one should be proud of his knowledge. Everyone in this material world is a rascal. A particular living entity desires, if I can get the opportunity to obtain the post of Brahma, then I can create a big universe. Thus, he receives the body of Brahma, and the small insect thinks, if I can create a small hole within this room, then I can live very peacefully and eat. Thus, Brahma desires to create a universe, we desire to create a skyscraper, and an ant desires to create a hole in a room. But the quality of the work is the same. We are all fools, however, because we do not realize that because these things are material, they will not last. Because of ignorance, we think, oh, this will be nice. Oh, that will be nice too. Karma karma bihi. Oh, kama karma bihi. That's from this verse that we're reading about. We create some desire, kama, and then we work accordingly. This results in so many difficulties, klishyanti, which means distress or suffering. To become Brahma is not a very easy thing. Brahma is such a big post, and it is given, excuse me, to a very qualified living entity who is highly advanced in austerities and penance. But he is also a living entity like us. In America, there are many citizens, and President Ford is also a citizen. That dates this lecture, right? President Ford. But by dint of his ardent labor and diplomacy, he captured the post. Still, he is an ordinary citizen. President Nixon, for example, has now been dragged down and is no longer president. This is because he was an ordinary citizen. Similarly, if we like, we may also become Brahma. Therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, and this is one of the verses from his song, Manasa Deho Geho, Kita Janmaho Yata Tuya Das, Bahir Mukha Brahma Janme Nahi Asha. Let me become an insect in a place where your devotee is present, because if I fall down in the dust of the feet of a devotee, my life will be successful. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Bahir Mukha Brahman Janme Nahi Asha. I would not want to be a Brahma and not be a devotee of Krishna. Because we are in ignorance, Maya, at any time we may forget Krishna. Therefore, we must always engage in Krishna consciousness so that we shall not forget him. That is indicated by Kunti Devi by the word Shravana Smaranahari. Smaranahani. The word Shravana means hearing, Smarana means remembering, and Arhana means worshipping the deity of Krishna. One should always engage oneself in hearing about, remembering, and worshipping Krishna. All the centers of the Krishna consciousness movement are opened only for this purpose, to facilitate chanting, dancing, and worshipping, so that we shall not forget Krishna. Sada tad bhava bhavitaha. If we always think of Krishna, there is a chance that we shall remember Krishna at the end of life, ante narayana smritihi, which means remember the personality of Godhead at the end of life. The other Sanskrit just above is from Bhagavad Gita. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. Everything takes practice. For example, if one wants to dance on the stage, one has to perform many rehearsals to practice how to dance. Then if one becomes an expert dancer, when one dances on stage, one will receive acclaim. Ah, such a good dancer. But what one cannot say, I shall go immediately to the stage and become a good dancer. That is not possible. One may say, no, 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 I shall not attend the rehearsal. Just give me the stage and I shall perform. But the director will not allow this, for one cannot become a good dancer without practice. The real purpose of life is to remember Krishna when one's life comes to an end. Ante Narayana Smritihi. If at the time of death one can remember Krishna, one's life is successful. In this material world, one must suffer from material miseries, but rascals do not care to understand this, for they are absorbed in ignorance. A smuggler may go on with his work, even though he knows that he will be arrested and punished. A thief may know that he will be arrested and punished for criminal acts, and he may even have been punished several times, but still he will commit the same crime again. Puna punas charvananam. Why? Ignorance. He is so much absorbed in ignorance that he does not think, I am repeatedly stealing and being repeatedly arrested, sent to jail to be punished. Why am I doing this? The result is not good. He's not thinking that. A person who is too much sexually inclined may suffer many times from venereal disease and have to undergo treatment, but still he wants to go to a prostitute again. This is avaida strisanga, illegitimate sex. But even legitimate sex involves so many difficulties. After sex, a woman becomes pregnant and has to suffer for 10 months. At the time of delivery, there is also sometimes very great danger. The father, after the child is born, must take care of the child and work hard to provide for its education. Therefore, the Vedic literature says, Bahuduka Bhaja. After sex, legitimate or illegitimate, there are so many troubles. Tripyanti neha kripana. But one who is an ignorant rascal will not be satisfied. Instead, he will do the same things again and again. Puna punaschar vitachar vananam. This is called bhava roga, the disease of material existence. There's Greece. He says he's going to rob the 7-Eleven over and over again. I don't, yeah, go for it. We have a prison program. We have a prison program. We can come to the prison and chant Hare Krishna with you there. Anyway, so this is called Bhavaroga, the disease of material existence. Yan Maitunadi Grihamedi Sukham Hitucham Kanduyanena Karayor Eva Dukadukam. And that's from the Bhagavatam 7:9-45. And I didn't translate any of that other above because it's from this verse. And the translation of this is, sex life is compared to the rubbing of two hands to relieve an itch. Grihimedis, so-called grihastas, who have no spiritual knowledge, think that this itching is the greatest platform of happiness, although actually it is a source of distress. Bhaktiville says, isn't our attempt to love one another how we make the best of the bad bargain of material existence? Our attempt to love one another? Well, making the best of a bad bargain is using your body and senses to worship Krishna. That's making the best of a bad bargain. But attempting to love one another, I think that's really important because we need to learn how to love. To love Krishna, we need to learn how to love. And loving one another is an expression and a vehicle for learning how to do that. Does that answer your question? But in the meantime, so many people are not pure devotees. So we have to get entangled to love. Well, yeah, we do. I mean, that's Krishna's third potency, right? Maya, we'd get entangled. Yeah, we don't have to get entangled, but we do get entangled to learn how to love. Yes. Greece says, Krishna wouldn't want us being jerks to each other and still be devoted to him. Yeah. If you're devoted to Krishna and you're a jerk to other people, you don't get it. You don't get it. You're not. Yeah, you can't do both. Hopefully you can learn, right? You can love Krishna and love everybody. Love everybody, love Krishna. All right, back to our text. In the Vedic civilization, therefore, small boys are trained to remain brahmachari or celibate and not involve themselves in the troubles of sex. But if one is unable to remain brahmachari, he is allowed to marry. After being trained in the beginning as a brahmachari, he will not stay for many years in family life. but will very soon become vanaprastha, retired, then accept sannyas, the renounced order of life. In this material world, everyone is suffering. Birds, the beasts, trees, the animals, the plants, and even Brahma and Indra. Indra is also not safe. He is always in anxiety about competitors who may come. Tat sadhu manye suravarya dehinam sada samudvigna diyam asad grahat. From Bhagavatam 7:5-5. And this is Prahlad Maharaj speaking. He says, O best of the Asuras, king of the demons, he's speaking to his father, as far as I have learned from my spiritual master, who is Narada Muni, any person who has accepted a temporary body and temporary household life is certainly embarrassed by anxiety because of having fallen into a dark well where there is no water but only suffering. Greece says, even squirrels have to work to find nuts and shelter. Gandita says, yep. So I like this idea of falling in a well where there is no water but only suffering. And why is everyone in this material world always in anxiety? Avidya kama karma bihi, because they are rascals. Therefore Krishna stresses, you rascal, give up all your nonsense and surrender unto me. I think that's a direct quote from Bhagavad Gita. This is Krishna's very good mercy. He is the Supreme Father. Therefore, he directly says, Sarva Guya Tamam. This is the most confidential knowledge. Sarva Dharmam Prityancha Mam Ekam Sharanam Braja. You rascal, give up everything and simply surrender unto me. Therefore, Kunti says, you have come to teach rascals like this and engage them in hearing, remembering, and worship. This is bhakti. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. One should hear and chant about Vishnu, Krishna. But as soon as devotees begin to hear and chant about Vishnu, some rascal Swami will say, no, hearing and chanting any name will do. Why Vishnu? Why not Kali? In Bengal, there is a group of people who have invented Kali Kirtan, chanting the name of the demigoddess Kali. What is this nonsense? In the Vedic literature, there is no such thing as Kali Kirtan. Kirtana means Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnoho, hearing and chanting about Vishnu, Krishna. The Vedic literature recommends Harinam, chanting the holy name of Hari, Krishna, and no one else. This Shravanam Kirtanam, hearing and chanting, was described very nicely by Shukadeva Goswami in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 2:4-15. He said, Yat Kirtanam, Yat Smaranam, Yat Ikshanam, Yat Vandanam, Yat Shravanam, Yat Arhanam. Lokasya Sadhu Noti Kalmasam, Tasmai Subhadra Shravase Namo Namaha. Which translates to, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the all-auspicious Lord Krishna, about whom glorification, remembrances, audience, prayers, hearing, and worship can at once cleanse the effects of all sins of the performer. Before speaking Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukadeva Goswami offered his obeisances to Krishna with this verse. He said, I offer my obeisances unto him, for simply hearing of him is Subhadra, auspicious. The entire Bhagavatam is glorification of Krishna, and this is glorification by Shukadeva Goswami. He says that one can be perfectly purified if one either glorifies Krishna, meditates upon him, or simply sits before the deity of Krishna and sees him, thinking, nicely dressed is Krishna, how nicely dressed is Radharani. If one has no ability to chant, or if one's mind is so disturbed that one cannot fix it upon Krishna, one is given this chance. Here is the deity, simply see him. If one is engaged in the service of the deity, There is a good chance of always seeing him 24 hours a day, while cleansing the floor of the temple, while dressing the deity, while bathing the deity, while offering him food. One will always see him. This is the process of devotional service. But people are such fallen rascals that they do not even go to see the deity. Oh, they think, what is this deity worship? It is idol worship. They may worship the statue of Gandhi or someone else, but when asked to come see the worship of the deity, they will say, no, this is idol worship. I have seen that in Calcutta, in Chowrangi Square, there is a statue of Sri Asutosha Mukherjee. He was a Bengali educator, jurist, lawyer, and mathematician. Throughout the year, the crows pass stool on his face. The stool becomes caked on. So on one day a year, the ordinary sweepers cleanse the statue with their brush in the morning, and in the evening some big men come and garland him with flowers. Then after that evening they go away, and again the next morning the crows come to pass stool on his face. So this kind of worship is accepted, sweeping the face of Sri Asutosha Mukherjee with a municipal brush. But if we install the deity of Krishna and worship him nicely, people will say that this is idol worship. So people are embarrassed by being entangled in avidya, ignorance, and the method by which to educate them and rescue them from the clutches of this ignorance is devotional service. As explained by Shukadeva Goswami, one may chant the name of Krishna or meditate upon Krishna. Or if one cannot meditate, one may simply sit down and see Krishna. Even a child can see, here's Krishna, here's Radharani. Even a small child or even an animal can do this and benefit. Or if one is more intelligent, one may offer prayers. And if one is expert and has been trained by a spiritual master, one may perform appropriate worship. Christians and Muslims, oh, we're past time. Oh, what do you want to do? We have 2 pages, a little more than 2 pages. Should I keep going? Yeah? Okay. All right, here we go. Christians and Muslims are also Vaishnavas, devotees, because they offer prayers to the Lord. Oh God, they say, give us our daily bread. Those who offer this prayer may not know very much and may be at a lower stage, but this is a beginning because they have approached God. Going to a church or mosque is also pious. Chatur vidha bhajanti mam nana sukritino Arjuna. So this is that verse that says there are 4 kinds of pious people who render devotional service: the distressed, the desire of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the absolute truth. So therefore, those who begin in this way will one day become pure Vaishnavas. But the atheistic propaganda that one should not go to a church, temple, or mosque is very dangerous to human society. One may not be very advanced, but one should at least try to do something to understand God. A child is sent to school, and although he may simply learn A, B, C, D, if he is interested, he may one day become a good scholar. Similarly, one day a pious man may become a pure devotee. Why should one give up religion altogether, become completely secular, and simply open a factory in which to manufacture nuts and bolts, work very hard, and drink and eat meat? What kind of civilization is this? It is because of this so-called civilization that people are suffering. It is by ignorance that people think that by opening factories they will be happy. Why should they open factories? There is no need. There is so much land, and one can produce one's own food grains and eat sumptuously without any factory. Milk is also available without a factory. The factory cannot produce milk or grains. The present scarcity of food in the world is largely due to such factories. When everyone is working in the city to produce nuts and bolts, who will produce food grains? Simple living and high thinking is the solution to economic problems. Therefore, the Krishna consciousness movement is engaging devotees in producing their own food and living self sufficiently so that rascals may see how one can live very peacefully, eat the food grains one has grown oneself, drink milk, and chant Hare Krishna. The process of Krishna consciousness should be very vigorously propagated all over the world. Simply by seeing the deity or simply by joining and chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, people will derive tremendous benefit. If one performs kirtan chanting, one will be able to think of Krishna. One may think, I danced for 2 hours and chanted Hare Krishna. What is the meaning of this? This is smarana, thinking of Krishna. One may even think, I foolishly chanted Krishna Krishna for 2 hours, but that also is smarana, because the Krishna consciousness movement is spreading. People are purchasing our books about Krishna because they are curious. They say, what is this Krishna? Let me see this book. Then they immediately see a picture of Radha and Krishna. And if they open the book, they will see more. In the book, there are many prayers glorifying Krishna. So some will hear about Krishna and others will read. And if they are fortunate enough, they will become Krishna conscious and engage in the worship of the deity. These methods of devotional service, hearing, chanting, remembering Krishna, and so on, are so perfect that as soon as one takes to them, either all of them, some of them, or even one of them, one becomes purified. Therefore, Shukadeva Goswami prays, I offer my worship to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for simply by remembering Him, simply by glorifying Him, or simply by seeing Him, so many benefits follow. Shukadeva Goswami is one of the 12 important spiritual authorities, and these are the authorities we must follow. Mahajano yena katasa pantaha. Let me just read the verse that's from. It's from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Dry arguments are inconclusive. A great personality whose opinion does not differ from others is not considered a great sage. Simply by studying the Vedas, which are variegated, one cannot come to the right path by which religious principles are understood. The solid truth of religious principles is hidden in the heart of an unadulterated, self-realized person. Consequently, as the Shastras confirm, one should accept whatever progressive path the Mahajanas advocate. Such a great verse. So he affirms that by performing these methods of devotional service, one will be cleansed of material contamination. When? Sadhyaha, immediately, without waiting. This is the great benefit of the Krishna consciousness movement. Jai. Sorry that went on for so long, but it's such a good chapter and such good verses that Srila Prabhupada has quoted within the text. Thank you so much. Are there any questions, comments? Bhaktiville says, very clearly stated. I agree. Pandita says, thank you. And thank you. All right, my friends. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. We have Bhagavad Arkamarichi Mala on Sunday at 10. We have Bhagavad Gita on Tuesday at 7. We have a DJ dance party, Vasant Pancami on Wednesday at 6. All here in Bhaktiville. Hope you can make it. Hare Krishna.
Jai, Hare Krishna.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hari
Yes.
Bol.